Welcome to Godfather TV with your hosts, Jeff Dennis, Charles Encinius, and Alan Meehan. Tonight's guest, Matt Thompson.
Hey guys, Brian Dixon here from Judas Rising, Grand Illusion, and Earls of Black, and you are watching Godfather TV.
Hey guys, it's Trish from Amplified Live, and you're watching Godfather TV. Woo!
My name is Chris from Euthanasia, and you're watching Godfather TV.
This is Gary Rogers, Metalhead, on Facebook. You're watching Godfather TV.
What's up, DFW? Welcome back to Godfather TV. We are here to give you the best that DFW has to offer. Today is a big day for Chuck because it's a Drummer Geek Day. But I want to go ahead and thank our production god back there, Mr. Al Mead. How's it going, Al? Hey. And as always, it's always my pleasure to introduce the Godfather himself, Jeff Dennis.
Thank you very much. And like Chuck said, today is Drummer Geek Day, so I'm going to let these two fight it out about drums. I don't know much about drums. But anyway, we have the current drummer for 22 years for King Diamond in-house. He's a local man named Matt Thompson, and we'd love to welcome you to the show. And we want to find out about your history, how you came to be in Texas. I know you're not from here. At least I don't think you are.
New Jersey.
Yeah. And then we want to find out all the details about how you became in King Diamond, you know, all the stories that go with that. So,
Matt,
start off with your early.
Thank God. There's a story behind that, by the way.
Excalibur.
Excalibur.
Yeah, so we're going to start off with your beginnings. I mean, just when did you start learning drums and interested in drums and your progression until you came to Texas?
Well, okay, so I started playing when I was 8. Let's see, in my neighborhood where I grew up in New Jersey, there were a bunch of guys who looked up to this one guy who was a year older than us. His name was Andy, and he played the drums. So he had a drum set in his room, and we would all just kind of take turns on his kit. And then I was lucky enough that in my school district, you could start taking private lessons in 4th grade. And they had band and orchestra from 4th grade on up. So I guess I was just taking advantage of that. I come from a family where it's highly suggested that you play an instrument, even if you're not going to go on to play that instrument. And so I did that. I wanted to quit for 5th grade because I was sick of bringing the snare drum onto the bus. I didn't want to carry that thing.
Aren't you lucky you didn't play the tuba?
Yeah, right. So I hated it. And anyway, my mom wouldn't let me quit, and I'm glad she didn't let me quit.
We're all glad she didn't let you, Matt.
Thanks.
Man, the
Yeah.
world without Matt Thompson, we wouldn't be able to survive.
I'd be off somewhere making a proper living.
Making some money?
You
Right.
wouldn't.
Damn.
Matt, you
Who
and
knew?
you and I both know you wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, it ended up that way.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, and then I played all through middle school, and I guess I had kind of a vocation for it. I made jazz band in 6th grade, so I got all that experience. And my aunt Susie bought me Rush Permanent Waves when I was pretty young, still in elementary school, and I kind of dug that right away. And then when I was 12, I saw Rush Signals Tour in Philadelphia. And that changed my life. And that's when I decided I wanted to be a drummer. It was because of the Signals Tour.
Neil Peart.
Yeah.
Struck a nerve, huh?
Neil Peart, yeah. Yeah, we connected, me and Neil.
Never heard about that guy.
Neil Peart?
Is he famous?
Check him out.
I'm gonna have to check him out. I've never heard of him before. Whatever.
Yeah.
Is his body of work good?
I put out a couple albums,
Did he?
tried his hand at lyrics.
Huh? Did he play at the Rail Club one time?
Yeah.
Neil, Professor, R.I.P. brother, we love you.
Yeah, so that's it, and there's a lot more to it, but those are my beginnings.
Did the Andy guy ever do anything with his? The guy you were playing his drums that was a year old. Did he ever end up doing anything?
I lost track of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they moved out of our neighborhood, and I don't know what happened to them. Yeah, I
And
broke
then-
my wrist because of his older sister. I was riding my bike, and I was like, hey, and I hit a curb and broke my wrist.
Damn women always get you in trouble. Huh?
Right.
I'm telling you, man, I should have
So you ended up at North Texas State. How did that become, how'd you end up in Texas after New Jersey?
Okay, so I ended up in Texas because, let's see, after high school, I was playing in, I played in some metal bands in New Jersey, like hardcore, that kind of thing. But I was also playing in a couple cover bands. I played in a country band. I was playing in a cover band, as they say there, down the shore, like in the Atlantic City area. And I was playing up and down the beach and stuff. And my aunt and uncle from California, they had moved to Dallas for some nefarious reasons. And they were backing a local singer-songwriter guy named John Davis. And they were looking for a drummer. So my aunt kind of told me that there was this great band in Texas that was looking for a drummer, and they had, I guess, some highfalutin representation or whatever. So I sent down an audition tape, and long story short, I moved down here in December of '91 to play with that band.
And what was that band? You to say?
That band, it was just called John Davis.
Oh, okay, John Davis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it ended up being kind of a mixed bag, but I ended up learning a lot from him, man. It was really good for me musically. And while I was here, it's a lot more complicated than this, but while I was here, ended up seeing all these drummers in Dallas that were just freaking me out, like Keith Carlock. My first gig in Dallas was at a place called the Outback Pub in the West End. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Outback Pub.
Yeah,
What year was that?
That would have been early '92.
Okay, because I didn't move here till '94, so yeah, probably not.
Yeah, I didn't know about it.
Yeah, it was not affiliated with Outback Steakhouse, but it was called Outback Pub, and they had bands. It was an Australian-themed kind of bar. And that first gig, man, there were a bunch of locals around. I think they were locals, and I was like, yeah, I'm from New Jersey. They're like, all right, man, you got to drink this. I thought it was tequila, but it was mezcal, and like the fourth one they handed me had a worm in it. I fell off my stool in the middle of a song. It was a real mess. But anyway, next door to Outback Pub was a place called Dick's Last Resort, and that's where I saw,
I know that.
I'm pretty sure it was Dallas Brass and Electric with Keith Carlock on drums, and it just freaked me out. He was 18 at the time. And I also saw Greg Beck with Bill Tillman and Words of Hell around that time, and I also saw, who else? A couple other guys that just freaked me out. And the last straw was actually Dan Wojciechowski. I saw him playing at Memphis with.
I was just thinking about him. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the best on the planet,
Right.
man, you know, and he's local. He was
It's,
playing with
Hodges
random.
Kitchen. Hodges Kitchen.
No, you're thinking of Rob Stankiewicz.
Stankiewicz, okay, yeah.
Yeah, he
But
was
yeah,
Hodges Kitchen, another
gotcha.
amazing
Another
drummer, right?
phenomenal,
But anyway, I saw Dan. He was playing with Random Access, which was
Oh,
a cover
okay,
band at Club Memphis. It was a dream team of him and Mike Medina on bass, and finally I was pissed off. I went up to him after the gig and I was like, what the F?
Right.
And it's
No, you
going-
can say fuck, Matt.
Okay. I was like, what is going on with the drummers in Dallas? And he's like, man, you should check out UNT in Denton. You know, Ed Soph is up there, and he's teaching these guys. And, you know, it's like this culture of drummers around here. At the time, I had a scholarship to go to Berkeley and Boston, and that was my plan still.
Wow.
You know, being in Texas was just going to be temporary for me. But then I checked out UNT, and I went and saw Ed Soph at a place called the Library, and I saw him playing, and I was like, yeah, okay. And things were starting to become clear to me about my own playing and what I needed to do, and
Right.
stuff like that, and Ed Soph represented what I needed to do. So I checked out UNT, and a couple things about the program made me like it better. One was that at the time, Berkeley was, no lie, $14,000 a semester, and UNT was $1,400 a semester.
Wow.
Right? And that was in Denton, whereas, you know, Berkeley was in, you know, the Harvard's neighborhood in
Wow.
Boston. Like, the scholarship would have not even paid for my subway tokens.
Right.
And the other thing was that at UNT, you know, I did a lot of digging, and it turns out that I'm pretty sure this is still the case. You get your own practice room, and you can keep that practice room for the duration of your time.
Oh, wow.
Whereas at Berkeley, you had to sign out a practice room. I think it's still the case, not sure, but you had it 6 hours max, and you had to bring your drums into the room. And when you were done practicing for that session, you had to break them down and take them out, and that was enough for me. You know, I mean, I could recognize that. What an asset that would be to have your own practice room.
Right.
You know.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And another thing was that I had already started hanging in Texas, and I had some friends, and I was playing in a death metal band. At the time, it was called Fit of Anger, which turned into Truncator. And Truncator, because of Truncator, I got the Michael Harris and Surgeon thing, and because of that, I got the King Diamond thing, which is probably another question. But
Well, I guess we can leave now, Matt.
Yeah.
I love that Surgeon album. I have it somewhere. I tried
Really?
to find Encyclopedia of Insane.
Yeah, right,
That's a
cool.
great album.
Awesome,
And I
man.
know Michael Harris really good. and
Yeah,
everything,
man, he's
so-
great. He's amazing.
And I know you played on some of his solo albums too. and
Yeah.
stuff, But yeah, that's a great album. I just can't find it. I was gonna bring it up here to have you sign it, and I was like, can't find it, but it's a great album. Though, if anybody doesn't have it, Surgeon, Encyclopedia of the Insane.
Yeah, that's right.
It's blistering, man.
Yeah, from what I understand, that is the album that King heard at Nomad Studios and asked who the drummer was, to Gary, the owner of Nomad. And that's kind of the seeds of how I ended up with the King Hunt gig.
Because he was recording here even before you lived here, right? I mean,
Who?
or King Diamond. He was already living, he recorded at Nomad a lot, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he recorded at Nomad while I think he was in Houston for a little bit.
Okay.
Maybe, or I think his first wife was from Houston or something. I'm not really too sure about that. I think King lived in Carrollton and then Frisco, and he's since moved.
Oh, he's not
Location,
here.
I'm not sure he wants me to say.
Is he
Yeah.
still here in North Texas? though?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool.
But when you found out he called asking about you, what'd you think?
Well, it's a little more roundabout than that. You know, I was about, I think I was about a year into college, and I was doing work at Nomad, you know, in Carrollton. I was doing a lot of studio drumming there at the time. You know, through the late '90s, I got a lot of calls for that place, man. I'm so grateful for that, for Nomad and for Gary and JT and yeah, all those guys, man. Anyway, what happened was I ended up becoming friends with Gary, you know, because he's the owner of Nomad. And he one day told me, yeah, man, King heard your drumming, and he said you were pretty good. I was like, if he ever needs a drummer, man, you
Right.
tell him I'm the dude.
Hell yeah.
You know, because I knew that gig was perfect for my style and the way I came up playing. And yeah, and then what ended up happening is that 2 weeks after I graduated from UNT, I got the call from King.
That's
Was
awesome.
it a call to go on tour live or to record or just to be my drummer or
He
did you give me a
called-
little test?
Yeah, sorry, he called to say that they were looking for a drummer.
Okay.
And I was like, all right, man, you know, I'm your guy. And he had me go meet him at his house and hung out with him a little bit and talked to him about it. And that's when he showed me the tour schedule. And I actually, at that point, I had not said definitely yes, you know, because I mean, I guess you gotta try to play it cool.
Right.
But he showed me the tour schedule. And it was like, oh, my dreams come true, man, because I love history, you know, and I've always wanted to go to Europe. I've always been kind of obsessed with it. And it was like everywhere. It was, I mean,
All the countries you always dreamed about.
except for like maybe 3 or 4, you know, and I was like, oh my God, even like Russia and Turkey and the East, you know, it was all on there, and I was like, oh, God,
Wow.
man, I got to do this
Right.
somehow. And yeah, he said that they were looking at guys, and he would call me, I think he said 2 weeks, and it ended up being like a month and a half. And, you know, I had a roommate, I was living up in Denton, and that was back when we had a landline, it was before all that stuff. And then the phone would ring, and I would like run to the phone, you know, push him out of the
And
way.
if it wasn't him, you're like, oh,
Right, all disappointed.
oh.
Exactly, yeah. He said that I was the guy, you know. It was a happy day, what can I say?
So when he said those words to you, what went through your head, Matt? I mean,
Oh, man, it was amazing. You know, UNT, I'll try to make a long story short, but it was a fight, you know. It's not an easy program. They're not giving those degrees away up there.
Yeah.
I've heard that they've kind of made it easier on jazz drum set majors with the mallet requirements and the keyboard stuff, but man, it was hard. And there's a lot of competition. And also, you know, 2 weeks after about 2 weeks after I started, I finally started. You know, I didn't start until I was 26. I'd been on the road, and I'd already been through hell and high water by the time I got there. And then my mom got diagnosed with cancer, 2 weeks after I started, and then she died 6 months later.
Oh.
So I had to go through it.
condolences, Matt. Sorry about
Thanks,
that.
man. That was 97.
Yeah, still.
So I had to go through all that with that on my head, which ended up being a blessing. I think it's better to be busy
Yeah.
when that's happening. But yeah, it was kind of a tough road, and I've been through a lot of shit, with bands, and a lot of bands saying that it was going to be huge, and it's just not. And you guys know the dance,
Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, it was like a
And that was
real victory.
guaranteed to be,
It was,
It was
yeah,
on paper.
yeah, that
You
was
saw it.
guaranteed on paper, and you knew it was gonna be successful and crowded, and
Yeah, it was a real victory, man, to be going on the road with King.
And did you tour first before you recorded your first album with
Yeah.
him? And the first album was Abigail too, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question, and I'm sure you've been asked this 100 times, maybe a million
We
times,
rehearsed with the answer.
but how was it kind of coming in after Mickey D, after him doing
Well,
Abigail?
that's complicated.
Yeah.
You mean doing the album, being
Well,
on
just
Abigail
just
too?
being
Doing
the
his songs
drummer
live.
after, just being the drummer after Mickey D. Because he got so much notoriety on Abigail, and his drumming on that is just phenomenal from a drummer standpoint. And you know this argument, but that's one of those for a drummer like me specifically. That's one of those ones that, man, that's on one of the top 5 for me drumming wise as a drummer. And then having to come into that, how was it for you? Did it even
Pressure.
cross your mind like, oh, Mickey D was here at all? Or did you just go into it saying,
Okay,
what?
so for the first tour, it was such a whirlwind that it didn't cross my mind.
Right.
I had already been in a lot of bands where I was playing old drummers' things. I was just kind of playing his parts. I had asked King about it. I was like, do you want the stuff exact? And King's answer was like, yeah, I want it to be exact. And no two drummers are going to play something exact.
Of course,
That's just
yeah,
not
of course
how
not.
it works.
Mhm.
But so what I try to do is I'm trying to make sure that all the important like Mickey D isms
Were
are
there.
there. When he goes ding 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 ding,
Yeah.
you got to do that. And certain fills, and he's got a certain style, that needs to be copied. And then I try to subtly put my own things in there, underneath. But as far as like, are you interested
Just,
in
I guess,
stigma of
the
it, or-
stigma of it, yeah. I guess that's more what I was going for, was the
It's something
stigma
that's
of Mickey
evolved.
D. Yeah.
It's evolved.
Yeah.
For the first 10 years, I kind of divided my time in King down into 2 chapters. There was up until 2007, 2006, the end of 2006, when we had to cancel the tours for Give Me Your Soul Please. That's the last studio one we did. We had to cancel those because King ended up with like horrible like sciatica in his back. And then he was starting to heal from that, and then he also had heart issues.
Yeah.
And had to have like quadruple bypass surgery. So it ended up being a 6-year hiatus. So the time up until then, I kind of considered it for my first chapter. And then in 2012, we got back together. And from that time up until 2019 rather, sorry, I kind of consider that the second chapter,
Yep.
up till COVID.
It's a lot
I
busier,
was-
wasn't it? The first chapter's a lot
You didn't have time to
busier.
think about it.
No, actually, the second chapter was busier.
Really?
But when it comes to like Mickey D, the first chapter, I was not anywhere near under his shadow. Like
Right.
the vast majority of like, I guess, comments or whatever were, whatever, he's not Mickey D, he's not as good as Mickey D. We all wish that Mickey D was still in the band. And that's still happening up until now. But something changed, and that was in 2015 when Sick Drummer did a video of me playing at Mountain View, and I think something shifted then because that video's gotten a lot of views, and people can see that I'm not the drummer that you hear on the studio albums per se. Yeah, so that shifted. But nonetheless, there's a lot of, I'm always being compared to Mickey D, and some days it's like, God damn it, I'm always being compared to Mickey D. And then other days I'm like, man, I'm always being compared to Mickey D.
Right? Yeah, that's how I would think.
And now he's in the
Yeah, it
Scorpions, he
shifts.
was a Motorhead, so that's a good
He's
person
one of the
to
best
keep-
in the world, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
how can I complain about that?
But at least probably 10 times a week, I always get on YouTube and I watch your version of Welcome Home, man. I just got to do
thanks.
that. I love that, dude. It's so awesome. Even though Mickey wrote, I love your take on it and the way you just dive into it and give it your soul, dude. You know what I mean?
No, I appreciate it. Please.
And,
It's actually, it's still my honor to play whatever King wants on those albums. That dude has God, what are we looking at? 35-year career?
Yep.
Maybe going on 40 years? Well, okay, so I think Nuns Having Fun
Most
was
of- yeah.
81.
Yeah.
So that's 91, 2001.
That's
41
years.
41, thanks. You didn't say it'd be math.
Sure.
Were you ever invited to play with Merciful Fate, or they always had their own drummers?
No, they've always had their own drummer. We played some Merciful Fate songs.
They've changed drummers a lot, though, on their tours, it seems like.
No, I think that they've changed drummers less than King Diamond has, actually.
Yeah.
I think in Merciful Fate, they've had Kim Raz, as far as I know, and then I think Snowy, and then Bjorn. I think it's just been 3. Well, John Hebert did, he played with Merciful Fate. They did a tour, I think in '99, where it was Merciful Fate and King Diamond both, and John played both bands.
John.
Yeah, I was just wondering if maybe one gig or so, like, oh, we need you, okay, he's sick or something, and you come, can you play these songs?
Well, okay, so if Bjorn, I was told that if Bjorn gets COVID, I'll go play the Mercy shows. And it hasn't happened, and I'm glad it hasn't happened. Bjorn's good.
I just watched
He's
them
great.
from Wacken the other day.
Yeah, great,
They did
man.
the live thing.
Who's you?
King had that big oak crown on.
Right.
Yeah, I saw the behind the scenes on that. That was pretty cool, man. And I didn't know that Joey Vera's playing bass for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
that's cool. I got to see Joey out, like I was
With
telling you about that
Armored
show.
Saint, right?
With Armored Saint
Yeah.
in '84, man, that was such a great show. Yeah, we were talking about, Matt and I were talking about Metallica just a while ago. Got to see meet Cliff and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Talking about Lars, maybe we'll get into that here in a minute, but that's so cool, man. I just love hearing all these stories from you, man. And to be here in Dallas, especially as a drummer, and have people like Matt and Wayne and Vinny and, you know, God rest his soul, to be able to see and be able to talk to, that's a blessing for me, man, as a drummer. Just all my idols in one place, you know. And it's-
Pantera is one of the reasons I stayed in Dallas.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you ever get a chance to interact with Vinny
Yeah.
and those guys at all?
Yeah, very limited before we toured together in 2015. In 2015, we toured together on the Mayhem tour. It was Slayer, us, and Hell Yeah,
Nice.
and Devil Wears Prada, and a bunch of really great bands, man. Whitechapel was on that, and Code Orange, and a bunch of others, man. And yeah, Vinny was so cool on that tour, man. He would throw barbecues, and he had us at his house in Vegas, you know,
That's
and threw
Vinny.
parties, and yeah, he was just a real big-hearted dude, you know.
Right?
Before that, I didn't really have a relationship with him.
Yeah.
But when I got here in '91, '92, you know, Vulgar came out just after the Black Album from Metallica.
Right.
God Bless Metallica. I was like, oh no, is metal, is thrash dead? Like shit. And then Vulgar Display comes and it's like, no, it's not. So like, they're from Dallas. I'm staying here.
Because I know, Matt, you do some death metal stuff. So do you consider, and this has been a debate, it's just not drummers, but on the music scene in general that I know of, that do you think Pantera is considered a thrash metal band?
No,
I think
actually,
hardcore. I just call them hardcore, you know?
Yeah, I think
Or
that
groove metal, or whatever
I-
they want to call it.
I think
It's
southern
complicated.
groove metal or something like that.
I think it's complicated, man. I
Yeah.
think that they were so talented that yes, they were a thrash band. I mean, think about some of their tunes; they were complete thrash. Domination, and yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
but they had groove stuff, and then they had some progressive kind of elements to it. You know, not vocally, but
Right.
certainly arrangement-wise. I don't know. They could kind of do it all. They found their sound and stuck to it.
Right.
Unfortunately, now they're known as bro metal. You know, whatever.
Yeah.
Bro metal.
Yeah.
That's funny. So on that topic, what do you think of the Pantera reunion? What do you think about that?
I think that they should do it. You know, if they want to do it, do it. This is America, and if you're into it, go. And if you're not, don't go.
But you using the Pantera name, that we had that same same discussion
A
with
lot of
Wayne
people
last
are
week.
upset about it. A lot of people are like you, just said, if you don't want to go, don't go.
Yeah,
But Charlie's a good player, you know, you agree? Charlie Benante's a good drummer?
he's all right,
Charlie's
right?
great.
Yeah.
Okay, Benante's great, and then
Zach.
Zach's doing it. Yeah, Zach's. I
So I mean,
guess he would
more
be the
power
guy.
to him, yeah, we're not gonna.
But as Pantera, you support that? You're good with that?
I don't know.
It's America?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Go on record with anything like that.
Yeah, that's fine.
They
Just
might,
plead the fifth.
maybe they should call it like a night of Pantera or something.
Yeah,
something.
Pantera is Vinny and Don,
yeah.
and Rex.
Well, it's good
and-
to have that perspective, though, man. That's what this show's all about,
Yeah.
you know? And just, you say what you mean, if you can. I don't want you to get in trouble by any means, but if that's the way you feel, that's the way you feel,
I
man,
think
you
that's
know?
probably the popular viewpoint, is
Yeah.
that, you know, God bless them, let them do it, you know, and we should hear those songs. let them celebrate it. But calling it Pantera is a little, I don't know.
Like Mr. Stokely said last week, he made the point that if Phil hadn't been in that band, that they wouldn't be as huge as they were at that time. So by Phil and Rex using the name, I think they have just as much right to do that as if Vinny and Dime were here. But yeah, obviously you associate the Abbott brothers with Pantera, but you still have the 2 out of the 4, and that's what Wayne was saying, you know. And we wanted to get your perspective on it as well, you know. But that's cool, man.
Yeah, I see that point too.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I don't really have a dog in
Dog
the
in the
hunt.
fight, yeah,
Let them do
exactly.
it, you
Yeah.
know. I'd love to see it.
We're not gonna lose any sleep over it, right? I'm not gonna lose any sleep over it.
I think it's
Either
going to
way.
be cool just to hear
Well,
those
if I
songs
go to the
done, you
show,
know.
Yeah.
I might lose a little sleep.
Yeah.
In a
Who
good
knows?
way.
You might be on that show. You know, we might be seeing you on that show too.
What do you mean?
Maybe they'll open up for King or something, you know,
Oh,
at some point. You know?
They're probably gonna do festivals out
Yeah.
there, and maybe a lot of festivals.
Yeah, I mean, you guys will probably cross paths, you know. But that's cool. That's
King
cool.
has a new album coming out shortly, or is that still, we still writing it, or everybody seems to be on the internet talking about, oh, he's never gonna put another album out, you know, but I've heard he's writing it, or you've heard, you got anything going on
I would
that?
defer to what King is saying in interviews.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna.
He's writing, yeah, that's fine. On the other hand, Brave Combo, let's talk about them.
Okay.
That's the complete opposite of King Diamond, but hey, 2 Grammy nominations, 1 win, right?
No.
No wins, just
No.
2 Grammy
No, I'm
nominations?
a complete loser.
Oh, but you
Man,
were also
just to be-
you're also nominated for King Diamond once for a song?
Yeah, that same year.
But just to be on the list, that's not being a loser, man.
Nah, yeah.
That's just
Imagine
being
getting
on
a call,
list.
yeah, you're
Hey,
nominated
we're
for a Grammy.
nominated, dude.
Yeah.
That would be it for me. I'd be okay, cool.
And for those that don't know, Brave Combo is a polka band from Denton.
Yeah,
And
they're called a
real,
polka band, but
they're
they
real
do a lot of
successful.
They don't just do polka.
And they do covers and originals and albums, and how long have you been in that band, or you just fill in every once in a while, or are you
Well,
permanent?
So Brave Combo, you know, they've been around since the 70s, and they're like local Denton heroes. In fact, like Denton, I think is the only place where if you go to Arts and Jazz, okay, we got Arts and Jazz coming up this year, you should go to Denton and go to Arts and Jazz on Sunday night. I assume they're gonna do it again, they do it every year. But on Sunday night, you'll see a huge crowd of high school kids in a mosh pit to polka music. You will not see that anywhere else, it's a Denton thing. So they're like local heroes, but they're known all over the world. You know? Carl Finch, he's the singer and kind of leader of Brave Combo. He's in the Polka Hall of Fame. And yeah, they're known.
Him and Weird Al, or him and Weird Al?
Weird Al. Yeah, they're intense, man. They're UNT guys who just kind of saw, I guess, a need for polka music. And they're like encyclopedias, those guys. They don't just do polkas, they do like, they know the difference between like Bulgarian polka and Serbian polka. You know, Western Polish polkas and Eastern Polish polkas, the different kinds of Tejano, different kinds of cumbias, all over the world. They're like complete like historians of different styles, you know, that you wouldn't think about. And I kind of love that about them. Their bass player for a long, long time was Bubba Hernandez, and I've been playing with Bubba for about 20 years now. So I play with Bubba at Arts and Jazz just about every year. Hopefully that's going to work out again this year. What was the question, man?
We're just talking about Brave Combo
Oh,
and
okay,
success.
yeah, cool, all right. That's what I'm doing, right?
Yeah, that's right, you're doing it, you're doing it. People are being educated about Brave Combo. I think most people know who they are. They might not even have known you were in it, though.
Yeah, so you asked about my role in it. So my role in it is really limited, man. I filled in for a gig at Dan Silverleaf in Denton.
Yeah, recently, wasn't it?
No, actually, that was about 10 years ago, maybe 15, I don't know, I mean, in the past. And it was great, man. But before that, I've done a couple of studio sessions with Carl. He would call me up and call me over to Real-Time Audio in Denton, which is a studio that I work at a lot. You know, it's like right next to my studio. And there's one session I did with Carl. You know, usually I would go there and help him out with some demos or whatever stuff. And then I did one song called Polka's Revenge. No, that was on the album Polka's Revenge. That song was called At the Polka Fest. And he ended up liking it and putting it on that album. And that album got nominated for a Grammy. So I kind of squeaked it into that
Hey,
nomination.
it all counts.
I read on their coattails for that one. And then recently they did a string of shows at a place called Red's Yard in Denton, which is like this big outdoor place. And they did like this experimental thing on Wednesday nights, and the drummer got sick, and I filled in for a couple of those. And that's pretty much my career.
Nice. And then tell us briefly about Shaolin Desquad.
Okay, Shaolin Desquad is a band that when I was in UNT, I was majoring in jazz. What's going on?
I'm geeking out on
He's
Matt
going.
over here, dude.
Oh, man.
Dude, you have no idea how giddy I am. I'm 5 years old right now.
Oh.
You know what I mean? I just wanna.
Damn drummers, man.
Move over this
Yeah,
way.
damn drummers.
So Shaolin, when I was in jazz school, I saw an advertisement on the bulletin board in the middle of the main jazz hallway, and it said, drummer needed, must know double bass. You know, it was like the opposite of what you would see in the jazz hallway. Must know double bass, must be familiar with Death, Voivod, Cynic. And I was like, I have to call this guy, you know, because, I mean, those are just some of my favorite bands. And I called him up, and that was Andrew, the Shaolin guy. He writes pretty much all the music for Shaolin Desquad. We were called something else. We were called Jugdish before we turned into Shaolin Desquad. There's a whole story of how that all happened and how we ended up wearing costumes and shit. But yeah, that's how that started, man. And those are like the guys in Shaolin Desquad. Those are like my real close friends. Those are the guys I hung out at Lucky Lou's with.
So they're local. I didn't even realize
Yeah.
they were local.
Yeah, it's a Denton thing. Yeah.
Wow. 'Cause
And
I know
then Matt
they
has
play
the-
like festivals and stuff around. I thought they played like Oklahoma and.
Oh, okay. We used to do something called D-Fest in Tulsa. We did that a bunch. We never did Rock Alone.
Okay.
No, nothing
So I
like
thought, it
that.
seemed like I saw their name.
You might be thinking of Wu-Tang Clan.
No.
That's funny.
But y'all put like 4 albums out, 3 albums, or?
Shaolin's got, well, Jugdish has one. Shaolin, EP. The live one, I guess maybe 4 total, something like that.
And how many albums total have you been on in your career?
I
You
couldn't
got
tell you.
50?
There's so many, I don't know. There's a lot of albums I played on that will never see the light of day, you know. They never left the box.
Man, you should put together a Matt Thompson, you know, concept album or something and put all those out.
Sure,
Dressed as the Black Ninja.
take up a collection, you know.
Let's do it. You heard it here first.
Now, Matt even has a small tie-in with Dallas tribute scene too. Chuck, you
Well,
want to tell that
before
story?
we go into that, I just want to say that Matt has the perfect character in the Death Squad, man. He's dressed as a black ninja, you know, and to be able to play like that, you have to be a ninja to play like that, right? That's gonna be your new nickname, dude. I'm gonna call you Ninja from now on.
All right, that's cool.
Matt
That's cool nickname.
Ninja Thompson,
I like it.
all right?
Yeah.
So I've already given several other drummers nicknames, like, you know, I don't know if you know Mike Pritchett. He's been around for a long time.
Pritchett, yeah.
He's the Rock Doctor. I call him the Rock Doctor.
Mhm.
And then, you know, Dave Hammer Greaston. What's up, Dave? So Matt's the ninja now. You're ninja.
I'm the ninja now.
Nice.
All right, the ninja, Matt Thompson. But anyway, going back to the whole tribute scene, I know Matt plays in well, he played one show, right? It was just one show for
Made in Texas.
Made in Texas.
Yes.
My boys in Made in Texas. Yeah, I did 3 years with Made in Texas, and I got to meet Matt one night at Gas Monkey Live. I think it was a Chucky production show, and yeah, that's when I used to drink an awful lot. And Matt, I don't know if Matt remembers this. We were talking about it briefly outside. Saw Matt, got to meet Matt, and I got down on one knee, put his hand to my forehead, and it was like Excalibur, you know. His hand was Excalibur, and I just had to get some of that greatness. And I remember looking up at Matt, and he goes, "Who's this guy? What the fuck is he doing?" But that's just
Totally not
the
awkward.
respect that I have for you, brother. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
So tell me your experience working with the Made in Texas guys, especially Rizzo. I love Rizzo to death.
Yeah, do you see him? Do you still see him?
I
Where is
talk to
he?
he'll text me like every so often.
Play him the show with him in a couple
Just some
weeks.
random things. Yeah, well,
He's still with Made in Texas?
Oh yeah, dude.
I need to come out and say
Yeah,
hi,
come
man.
on.
I really like
If
that
you
guy.
guys, so tell us about that show with Made in Texas, man. Where did
I remember it was fine.
Where was that at?
It was at, I can't remember if it was called Gas
Was
Monkey.
it
back
Firewater?
then. Yeah, I think it was Firewater.
Firewater.
Yeah, that's
back
right,
then?
yeah.
That was a long time ago, man.
hmm
So you just did the one show? Just-
Oh, it was back in the day of, remember the Exchange at Walnut Hill? Remember that place?
Yes.
I had a practice room in there back in the 90s. 2 doors down from Keith Carlock, man. I would go listen to him practice for 30 minutes.
And then go, damn it, and go in there and practice more.
I know, I would leave. Sometimes, there were a couple
Right.
times when I went and I would listen to him for 30 minutes and then just leave because that having that in my head was better than anything. What am I gonna do? Some, what am I gonna do after that?
Wow.
Anyway, yeah, Firewater, that was cool.
So you just, did they ask you to be their permanent drummer at all, or after you did the
I
one
don't think
show?
so,
or just-
no. Not that I remember. I think it was just that one.
Yeah. So did you enjoy playing the Clive stuff better or the Nico stuff?
It's interesting you say that. I'm torn. Everybody loves Nico the most, but
I'm a Clive
I love
fan.
Clive.
I
Yeah,
love
I
Clive,
love
dude.
him.
I love Clive.
I think he had better single stroke roll.
Right?
Anyway.
Yeah, for sure. But Nico's just, he's amazing too, though,
Nico
Where
might be a
Eagles
little more
there.
musical.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
They're both great in their own right. What can I do?
But, yeah, Clive, man, God rest his soul too, you know what I mean? But, well, that's cool. That's cool.
Also, you're a teacher, right?
Yes.
Drum lessons. Anybody want drum lessons? I'm gonna let Matt tell you how to get a hold of him.
Yeah, go ahead and plug away, man.
Plug away
sir.
your stuff.
I teach. Yeah, hit me up.
That was good. Go to what? You have a website?
Facebook
or-
or website?
Oh yeah, I do. I haven't updated it. I have not updated that website so long because now there's social media. That's how you interact with everybody. So
Yeah.
I'm on Facebook. If you type in Matt Thompson drums, I think I'm the first one that comes up. And if you type that onto the Googleator,
Ash Jeeves.
Jeeves.
ask Jeeves. I might be on DuckDuckGo.
There you go.
Yeah, if you just search for Matt Thompson or King Diamond, that you're definitely going to get me.
And then just type in, my kid wants drum lessons from the best, and
From Matt
bam.
Yeah, that's right. I teach in 2 locations. I teach in my studio in Denton. I also teach at Hall Music Productions, which is in South Lake. It's a kind of a private music school. So I'm in those 2 locations, whatever's most convenient.
Cool. Classes are filling up. Are you full? Is there a wait list?
No, there's not a wait list. I have some openings. It just depends, when people can do it and when I can do it. It's kind of all over the place. And now it's in between, a lot of school districts are starting, mine started last week and a lot are starting this week. And so everybody's still adjusting,
So do you do you give formal lessons, Matt, or do you just, like the rock school, if you want to learn this song?
You can wear whatever you want. You shorts,
Yeah? Did I say that? What did I say?
formal.
Formal lessons, like, oh, you're gonna
got
go in
2
there and I'm
forks?
gonna show you, I'm just gonna show you book stuff. We're gonna learn how to read music, and we're gonna do rudiments.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
you like, I wanna learn,
I
I
wanna learn.
wanna learn
Welcome Home.
2112.
That's
just walk
right,
into
right,
it.
right. Yeah, man, I really feel strongly about teaching
Fundamentals.
formally. Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't really know what you meant by that.
I'll wear a
Formally.
tuxedo, dude. I'm gonna hire you. I'm gonna wear a tuxedo to practice.
Right, that would be formal.
Yeah, very formal. And we're gonna have drinks, hors d'oeuvres, and maybe even a floor show.
We want to let Matt get out of here because he's got a lot of stuff going on, but we want to ask him one final question. What are 5 albums in your life that you cannot do without? If you had to go to Desert Island right now with 5 albums,
Oh, my.
I know it's
God.
tough, it's going to be impossible, but just off the top of your head without warning, just let us know what you think they
Let
might
it fly,
be.
man.
No pressure.
The second I get on that fucking island, I'm gonna be like, oh, what did I do?
I know I
Oh, I left that one?
Yeah.
I think there's 2 that come to mind right away. The first, Mr. Bungle and Disco Blonde.
Oh, Mr. Bungle.
They definitely come to mind. What else, man? I don't know. I guess I'm gonna think of like long ones. Oh, can I do compilations? The Genesis box set?
Sure.
How about the Zeppelin box set?
There you go. So
I
you
can
like
do
John
box
Bonham,
sets.
John Bonham and Phil Collins, then, huh?
Yeah, the problem is when I mention anybody, there's like 60 other people that,
Right.
that I'm leaving out.
How about the permanent waves?
The
That's
Rush
what-
box set. I
There
mean,
you
if
go.
I can, let's talk about collections. I'll take the collections.
He's cheating.
Yeah, but it's
That's
Matt
4,
Thompson.
right? Wait, that's already 5, I think.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's 5.
Well, that's cool, man. That's cool.
There's no way I can come up with that list on the spur of the moment,
Yeah,
or Chuck, so
I mean,
it was
either.
just on Matt this time.
Yeah, so Matt's on the spot by himself, but, so, are we good? Matt, are you good? Anything else you want to
Anything else
talk
you want to
about?
plug or talk about or say?
Like
Any
I
crazy
said-
story, craziest story that ever happened at a King Diamond show?
Okay. Oh, I can't talk about that.
What happens on stage or backstage stays there? I mean, like any crazy fan that like did something like ran on stage or tried to, I mean, I don't know, just
Hit you in the
any
head with a
crazy
water
story
bottle,
that,
anything?
Okay, well, that does bring something to mind. Okay, so my first tour, we had this security guy, and I won't say his name, you know. He was kind of short.
He worked for you? Or
Yeah,
worked for
yeah,
you?
yeah, yeah, he was
Okay.
our security guy, yeah. He was our main security guy.
Okay.
And he was kind of wiry, you know, and he smoked cigarettes all the time and drank coffee all the time. Chain smoked, chain drank coffee. And I was like, there's no way this guy can fight anybody. You gotta be kidding me. What's going on? And you know, sometimes I would look out the window of the bus and he'd be out there training really slow, you know, and I was like, all right, that's kind of legit, you know, because I mean, there's a lot of similarities between martial arts and drumming, you know, a lot of slow repetition to get into your subconscious. So it comes out with lightning fury. And one night, somebody ran up on stage and he started running towards Kate. And before I could see what happened, this guy was in front of him and he was like, and the dude went like this, boom, back into the audience.
Where was that at? Do you remember what?
I don't, it was in Europe somewhere. I don't remember where.
He took your ninja duties from me, man.
Yeah.
Well, but you were being a ninja behind the kit. Right?
Yeah, I
that's
guess
all it
so.
counts. Well, that's cool.
It was awesome.
So
yeah.
he was legit after all, huh?
Yeah, he was totally legit, man.
Well, on that note, everybody, man, we want to thank our guest, Matt Thompson, for taking the time out and coming and just having some fun with us, man. Thank you,
for having
Matt. Such a freaking honor, dude. You have
Thank
no
you,
idea,
man.
man.
Man, it's an honor
Thank you so much.
to be asked to do
And
something.
check out all his bands and his videos and get on Matt Thompson.
Take some lessons, all you
drums.com
drummers.
or mattthompson.com, whatever it is. Learn.
All right, so on behalf of Jeff Dennis, I'm Chuck Encinius.
Thank you very much, everybody, for your support, and we'll see you next time.
And I'm going to leave you with these 4 words, MUYA. See you later.
Thank you for watching Godfather TV.